Nuts over here. Hello. What's up? What's good? How's everybody doing out there? Not even sure if this is live yet, but gonna go ahead and just start talking. And maybe it looks like we just kicked on. So if it's got the delay like before, it sounds like we are all good. What's good? The Red Beard of Knowledge, my man Andy. How you doing out there?
I'm feeling very knowledgeable today. Like I said before the stream, not everybody knows, but I have only watched this episode one time. I don't know what anybody said about it. And the reason is because I was apathetic about this season, but we'll see if this episode changed my mind or what. We'll talk about it. We'll go over everything. And I'll bring up my questions that I have for DJ, who probably has an answer.
I already see my man JD just hit the chat. What's good, brother? It's been too long. How goes it with you? How did you like a Westworld 3 season? Westworld season 3, episode 1. I thought that shit was lit. But before we even get into that, like at the end of last year, I still had a couple of questions. Like, I mean, I realized that when she got killed, do we still know that if the Men in Black's daughter, Emily, was a host or not? Like, I realized when they dragged all the people and they had the dead host in one pile and they had her in another pile, in the human dead pile, but they would think that she's human and put her in that pile. So it's like they went to do a check and oh boy, killed him before the check came through. So did they check and find out that she's really human and put her in the human pile? Or did we ever even know if she was a host or not?
I don't think we know, do we? Yeah, like, just because she ended up in the human pile doesn't mean anything. I mean, we know that doesn't mean anything now. And based on what we know about the outside world, there's much more sufficiently advanced things than Westworld. I'm going to put it that way. I have a logical inconsistency that we can get into as it goes, but the outside world seems more technologically advanced as far as AI goes and behavioral mapping. So I think it would be better at creating fake people. You would only need the robotics part from Westworld, right?
Yeah. That's true. And we all know that she actually comes from there, and that's where she hung out and didn't do much hanging out in actual Westworld. So yeah, she could just be way more advanced. So yeah, to me, they never answered that question if she was a robot or not. And then remember in the prequel, she came in and saw her dad, and that was all, basically a test animation. So I mean, they have a lot more to explain, and there's definitely more we're going to be talking about that. But do we even, and on that note, do we even still know if the Man in Black was actually a host or not? Like, he asked how many decisions have actually been mine. And it also, when he was cutting into his arm to figure out if he was a host or not, because he had questions himself, it looked like metal shining off that sun. So, I mean, was he a host? I mean, if he wasn't, why would he so willingly just jump up and go with Dolores? She said, come with me. And he like instantly just jumped up like, okay. And they hated each other. So, I mean, if he wasn't a host, why would that go down like that?
I don't think they hated each other. He loved Dolores. That's what caused everything. So I completely disagree that he hated. He is an anti-hero. He sees the robots as living thing, but he also feels that there is they needed this thing to break them, to become what they were meant to be, or like what they could be. And he sees that. He had that motive once Dolores, he saw her reset and he said, this is bullshit for me and her, and I'm going to fix it. And he finally came up with a way to fix it. And it was a terrible way if you're viewing the host as beings, but I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he sees that opportunity and it's like, oh, she is becoming what I wanted her to be.
You just said you don't think the Man in Black is a bad guy.
He's not. Well, I mean, he's a bad guy, but that depends on your perspective of whether the hosts are alive or beings. We'll say beings because we got this alive thing about 100 million times already. So if you think they're sentient beings, then he is a bad guy. But if if someone made you a sentient being through hardship, was it worth it? Does the ends justify the means? And that's the anti-hero thing. Like the ends justify the means. So I'm just saying.
You're basically saying the man in black is God because he's the one who created him.
I think he's like the devil in that scenario because the man in black gave. Okay, so humans, if you believe all this stuff, God created humans, but it was really the devil giving, telling them to eat the fruit of knowledge, like from the tree of whatever and good and evil. So it gave them knowledge, and that's what created everything. Like humans would have just been these automatons going around. If you don't have the ability to distinguish, make up your own decisions, you don't have the knowledge of what's good and evil, then you're an automaton. But the devil says, hey, eat this and you will be able to make your own decisions. So he is the devil, but that's a perspective thing too. Like, who is the devil necessarily bad in that situation? Because God was just making these slaves like worship me, and the devil's like, fuck that. Here, eat this apple and you decide what you want to do.
So you're like, as long as the ends justify the means, there is no evil.
I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying it's about perspective. Like it's all about perspective. From my perspective, it seems pretty bad, but it ends their loop of terror, right? Like their loop of constantly being like used and not being anything. Is it worth it? Like, would you be willing to be tortured to make it so you can make your own decisions, right? To give yourself free will. So basically, red pill, blue pill. Would you leave the Matrix? It's going to be terrible outside the Matrix, but at least you're free. And I'm at least you're free kind of guy. So
at least you know the truth of the truth. What's up? We got my girl Moni G and the one and only AK Lord Commander. Good to see you. It's been far too long. Glad to see your lovely faces in the chat. So glad you're here. Hey. Yeah, they still got a lot to break down about that because we haven't even brought that in and what's going on. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later. But Dolores wanting to erase the host in the new world because she called it just another gilded cage. And Bernard asked why the new world wasn't good enough for the host. And Dolores said because that which is not real cannot be replaced. But she's not real, and yet she wants to replace humans. So isn't that kind of a bit hypocritical?
Yeah, but she can't be replaced at this point, I don't think. Like,
she wants to replace the humans, though, and she's saying that which is not real cannot be replaced. So, but she wants to replace the humans.
But it's like a philosophy thing. Like, it's not like no one can be replaced, or can you? Like, if everybody, because from her perspective, people can be mapped and then recreated, right? So they can be replaced. So they're not real. No, they're just as fake as she is, right? So I don't think it's inconsistent, but you know, her motives. I think Dolores' story is, this is how I think it's going to go all the way to the end. It's like a gradual, like she looks up to people. She thinks of William as like this great dude, and then she gets the reality of human beings as these terrible things. But she also has the perspective of a person in a video game, essentially. So in video game, so it's not, she doesn't really see human beings, right? In a video game, you'll do things that you would never do in real life. Like you'll kill just random people or steal your, if you're playing Grand Theft Auto, you'll get a hooker and then kill her to get your money back because for whatever reason. So that type of stuff will happen in a video game. But it doesn't, that same person would not do that in real life. So Dolores has like a warped view of what humanity is. And I think the outside world, she's going to gradually veer away from her mission because she's going to actually see, there are like what humans do. Like
Does she have a warped view of humanity, or does she have the ultimate view of humanity and know more than we even know? I mean, we see ourselves one way, but she's actually lived through it and read our programs basically in all our books. So, I mean, she basically has a better view of humanity than anybody, doesn't she? I wouldn't say it's warped. I'd say it's more spot on than anything.
No, because these people are viewing these robots as not real things. They wouldn't treat them that same way if they view them as sentient beings. That wouldn't happen. I mean, some people would, sure, but most people wouldn't. So, but her view is that people are this way, but it's not, because they don't see this as real. A very important part of people is their ability to push down their desires, like or like their instincts. Like if we just operated on instincts, we'd be killing everything and just eating it, and fighting each other all the time in so much that we would never exist as a society, right? So we have to have inhibitions, right, essentially. So
right, that's what keeps us away from the animals, is repressing our feelings and not just doing everything that comes to mind and actually trying to live civilly.
So if you put that person that's been holding all that back in a situation where nothing matters, then you're not getting that person's real view, because a very important part of them is taken away. The part that says what they're willing to do and what they're not willing to do. That part's gone in Westworld. So she has a very warped view and is only getting half the picture of what humanity is.
I get that. That's a great answer. I love that. I love that. When Ford met the MIB in the real world, and when they were at that party, William said no more games. And Ford was like, oh, I think one final game. And when people talk like that, like one final, that usually means like life or death. That's basically death. So do you think Ford actually had William killed in the park? And that was just, I mean, back to, do you think that was a robot, or is that a human when we're dealing with the Man in Black at the end?
The one at the end, he's a robot for sure, because he's getting tested, right?
Well, I mean, when they were still going in there, when basically when Dolores left him and went right before they went down into the.
That remains to be seen. I'll say that I think the Man in Black is a robot and he just doesn't realize it. But
okay, was it a human Man in Black or a robot Man in Black that killed Emily, whether she was real or not?
That, I think that's a real one, right? He's going insane. Maybe that's a part of it. Oh shit. Okay, that just made me think of, what if he is a robot at that point, and that is the misunderstanding of what he is as a human being. So they think that he would do that because they don't understand his true motives. Because a big part of this season is going to be about predicting actions, right? Like that you can, because that's what Dolores is going after. So Westworld, I think, is behind in this situation because they have that warped view of what humanity is. They couldn't understand his true motivations.
Nice. There you go. Well, shit, let's get into it. Westworld 3, Episode 1, Season 3. We start off with a cold open on a cliffside mansion with a real asshole, and I was like, he's going to die soon. And then we see someone breaking into his home code, and was there any question in your mind that was Dolores breaking in, doing that right out of the gate, or did you think it might be something else?
Oh, we know that was Dolores. Like, immediately.
There's never a doubt in that. How great was that to see him die the same way that he killed his last wife, though?
Oh, man. Doesn't that make it seem so? If you add in stuff that happened later, remember we talked about that big computer. I mentioned it about predicting actions, and they did mention that like stuff was kind of messing up in the code. It's like someone was adding stuff. So there is that speculation, like, hey, was that Dolores, doing that? I don't think it was. But the potential is there that she's able to access part of this.
Right.
And she could predict what he would do based on her actions, right? So she could make that happen.
And we're going to talk about that here in a second. What's up, Shay, in the evening? And Ricky Hunt, welcome. Good to see you. It's been way too long. Welcome back. We got back in full swing of the season. Definitely getting into it. I thought it was cool how she said she wouldn't hurt him unless he tried to hurt her. But like we were just talking about, knowing he was going to after reading his book, and like what you were just saying, does that show that Dolores thinks and strategizes the exact same way as the Rehoboam does?
Yeah, I think that she has some of the potential, but like I said, it's the warped view. Whereas this other computer, we see that it has a more realistic view of what people are. Like, it doesn't have the full picture, obviously, but it has a pretty good idea of what people are because they're implants out in society.
Right. And we're going to talk about that because they're acting like it's almost like godlike, like it's going to predict exactly what it is. But before we even get there, what are those gold circles people keep taking like medicine? Is that like a drug, like to get high, or is that like something that helps the whatever's inside them stay working? Or what do you think that is? Those little gold tabs that all these people are taking.
I feel like it's modifiers, or like it's a power up, I guess. Drugs, it's just telling you what your body, telling it what to do, right? Because this thing has so much control in your brain. Obviously, like Dolores was able to use the glasses, I guess, to hack into it. Do you think that's what happened? Like, he has an implant, a brain implant. She uses the glasses to hack into his brain.
Exactly. Hack into that to make him see what she needs him to see. Exactly. And that's what I'm like, are those things that enhance that, or is it just a drug because people are sick, or is it just a drug to get high?
Yeah, I feel like it probably doesn't go off of your normal brain signals, right? So you can take that and it can make certain things happen. Like the computer slows down. His chip, he took it before he went to sleep, and it kind of like put him to sleep. So
it just interacts with that. I like that. Barry used to work for a company called Insight, and now Dolores wants those files. What do you think it is those files contain?
Oh, the information for she wants to be a part of that system. I think she wants to be all powerful. I think that it's going to be like almost like a three-way thing. So you have these the hosts in human bodies, then you have humans, and then Dolores is going to come to the realization eventually that the way she views humans, this AI views her. Like, it is vastly superior to her. So right. I think she might recognize that already, and if she wants a piece of it.
She wants to be even more. What's up? We got Peter Griffin in the chat. Welcome back, buddy. Been too long. A reboot, not quite a factory restore, but daily update. Shade of the Evening says on Insight website, it affects the brain and supposed to make you happy. You have to have an implant for them to work. So yeah, I guess you're right. It does. That's what it does. It interacts with those implants, and I guess for him, it makes him happy. And I don't know, because we saw that later, but oh boy, his mom was taking it too, and like obviously she had dementia. So it's like maybe it's different things for different people.
I mean, he explained it a little bit, right? Like, the dude at the beginning, you didn't know what he was exactly talking about, I think. Jesse Pinkman. I'm just going to call him Jesse because I'm never going to remember his name.
Oh, Caleb?
Yeah, Caleb. Well, Jesse, he talks about it. He talks about embracing, like, he doesn't want to take something to make him happy because he's embracing the pain. He's talking about stuff that, like, Dolores, like, the Man in Black recognized. His pain was necessity, right?
Oh yeah.
And he's talking about that as a human being too. He's like, the only thing that, the edges are the only thing that's real, or something like that, right? I don't want to take the edge off.
Oh, dude, you never know what's real. Sometimes you just create realness. Like Peter Griffin said, he did something the other day and he thought of a couch, and then an ad of a couch came up. He had to turn his computer off. It's like sometimes you manifest the realness. Dolores says she's the last of her kind, but obviously she's not. She says she needs a competitive advantage. What advantage is she talking about? And is it just to make more bots like her, or is it something more involved? Because she says something about the start of a new species.
Who was she talking to? She says competitive advantage?
That she wants a competitive advantage. She's talking to a boy at the beginning.
Maybe she recognizes... Well, wouldn't she know about Maeve's power, right? Maeve's, I don't know. I don't know exactly yet, like what her plan is. So I don't want to speculate too much on episode 1, although I should, because I feel like last season we were too right about stuff, and it almost was like, I wish I wasn't.
It's almost like we were writing the show.
Yeah, so I need to like make judgments now that are definitely going to be wrong.
Are you kidding me? That's what the people come for. They're like, how do these guys always guess this shit like 5 episodes early? What the hell?
She has to know that Bernard is going to go see Maeve, right? That has to happen, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
but she also knows that Maeve has this ability to control hosts. She has some sort of ability to control hosts. Like maybe Dolores, I don't know. But
Dolores seems to have that now too.
But she wants an advantage. That's the equal footing. If you can make people do things and know what all the X factors on the outside are going to do, then you have a significant advantage, right? If you know how everybody's going to react to everything that's going on.
You already know the outcome before it comes. If you can predict the future, of course, it's going to give you a huge advantage.
But then she can take over people, right? Like if everybody has these implants that are being read all the time,
right.
She could take over people. She could control them. She could screw over the world because remember that machine is like giving everybody jobs.
Yeah, exactly. She could
just implant
exactly what she wants with every single person on the planet.
And if she knows exactly everybody's future actions, she could put them in a place where they fuck up in the exact right way to benefit her. Right. And it doesn't look like she did anything.
If everything's perfect and works out the way it is, which we don't know if that's
I don't think that's accurate. But we'll get to that. We'll get there.
So what'd you think of the new opening? I thought those piano playing hands were creepy as shit.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even watch the opening. My wife was yelling at me. So well, she wasn't yelling at me. She was talking to me.
But we're going to talk to the chat, then I'm going to talk to the chat about that because I liked, like, in the beginning, they had the two bodies, like one coming, one was going up and the other was going down, from the water up, and one was going down, like, towards each other. And it's like almost like they're trying to say, like, what I got out of it was, like, humans are on this downward trajectory while the bots are ascending. And when it's time to touch and become one, the bots keep rising as to, like, surpass the humans. And then they show the hand, and then that's kind of the same time they show the hands come off the piano, but the piano keeps playing, and it's like, all right, they're about to, you know what I mean? They're trying to take it to the next level shit with that. I like that. I thought that was pretty cool. If that's what they're trying to purvey, that's what I got out of it. But I thought that was pretty clean. And but then it showed the robots like sinking back into the water and coming apart, while also showing like the robot bird flying too close to the sun and disintegrating. And it was like ending with a skinless form sinking back into a red, bloody water. So it's like, was that just them kind of showing the robots rebelling but yet ultimately failing? Like, what do you think about that, chat? It's like, is that just basically, did they just tell us the whole story in that opening? Which is what it kind of seems like, which, if that's the case, it's pretty freaking tight.
Well,
so you're going to have to.
I will watch it next week, or I'll watch it before next week, but and I will tell you that you're overthinking it. Next
like,
Tuesday.
Put this in now, but
I mean, your explanation was about 4 times as long as the opening, so.
Well, that's what I got out of it. I'm telling you, I think they just told us the whole story in that opening. I think that's pretty sick if they did. That's awesome. Since they have the tech, why are working robots not made to look more human-like? Is it like because they're doing the more dangerous jobs and they don't want humans catching too many feels if they fall and break? Or I thought that was kind of weird. Like his partner that's going up working, like why does it look like a robot, not more like a human?
I mean, season 1 explains that for us, or season 2. Would you want? Like I wouldn't want robots that look exactly like humans. I can't tell they're robots. That would be terrifying.
You want to know it's a robot? That's that.
And even I think that something's even happened. Maybe they're doing like a time jump. I don't think so, but maybe they're doing some sort of time jump. Because it's almost like something like this has already happened, because the robots can't even be used on their own. They can't just be set to automatically go. It has to work with a human, right? So there's like a fail-safe there. So I think something like this has already happened, or maybe that computer is able to predict that all this is going to happen. And they're saying, hey, this is a defensive measure to make sure that doesn't happen.
Nice. Shade of the Evening didn't think the hands looked any different from last season, so he needs to rewatch it. Yeah, I don't know. They just seemed a little bit gnarlier and a little, I don't know, like they just looked a little creepier to me. And then, yeah, that really added to it when it came off the piano and the piano kept playing. And I was already in like my mind where they were going with all that. So, yeah, it just looked a little creepier to me on that one. We are, I thought it was cool how they let us know that even though that the humans did have implants in, that the individuals could still turn them off. And I mean, as long as they could still turn them off, I guess that's like going to end up being like one of the main defenses against Dolores if she tries doing like what you said and basically getting in a. Or is she going to be, even if people turn them off, is she going to be able to infect them and rule them anyway and just turn them back on like
we have to compare this to modern society. Do you think when you leave Facebook, they stop collecting data on what you're doing? You left the website, yet they still know everything you're doing after that and before that.
But if you turn off the website and sign out, are they still doing it?
And once you sign back in, they are.
But I'm saying,
they'll know your computer.
You signed out.
Your computer tracks what you did. Yeah, but you're saying that you turned it off. It's an internal thing. How do you know it's off? I don't even know that my Amazon Fire Stick is always turning itself on and shit. Like, you don't know why you're getting ads for things that you just talked about in your own personal lives. This thing is definitely not turning off. And if it is, it can definitely be remotely turned back on. I'm 100% on that. Like, if we're making definitive statements, you cannot turn that thing off. 100%.
Like, nope, still collecting.
Is there a button on the outside? Like, you can't power it down. You cannot turn this thing off. I'm 100% on that.
Yeah, she's with you. She said nope. But when we're talking about, let's talk about something awesome. How fucking sick was that? Make money, motherfuckers. How sick was that Rico app, and how down and into that would you be if we had that in our modern
Dude, I didn't pause it to read all the things, but all I saw immediately was Wetworks. And for anybody that doesn't know, Wetworks is murders. And that's immediately what I saw. I was like, oh shit, there's a criminal app. Like, he's got a criminal app.
Yeah, but that's just it. He doesn't do personals. Like, he doesn't do any murders he doesn't try to do anything like that. Like, he's just all like basically breaking into the ATMs and moving stuff from one place to another and transferring. Like, he doesn't do personals. Like, so I mean, you can do whatever level you want. I thought that was dope. I thought that was awesome. It's like, make money, motherfuckers. Yeah, I thought that was ridiculously sweet. And I could really see the future being like that, which is sad, but awesome. You didn't like it, dude? I thought you'd be in love with that. I thought you'd be like trying to be a high player, high scorer on that. You didn't think that was that sweet?
Oh, dude, I think that's going to be awesome. That's going to be a tool that Dolores is going to use, right? Jesse is just an end user. Dolores is going to use that thing to become like a criminal overlord. Like, that's going to be great. I'm excited about that. And I just like the kind of, they're the dredges of society. They don't fit in this nice box by this computer thing. And they would have like a crazy app like that. I thought it was cool.
Oh, my girl AK's with me. She's like, I'm not even going to lie. I'm going to be on that. Like, she'd be on that right there with me, just rolling that shit. I think it's sweet.
But you brought up a good thing, or a good point. This season, I think I'm going to be more in tune with it than you. I'm going out on a limb here, but it's set up like a video game. And I recognize video game patterns, and I think I'm going to be able to predict this season or the themes of this season better than you. Going out on a limb here. I know you got the crazy theories, and you're willing to step out a little further on the limb than me, but definitely from the beginning, you could tell it was set up like a video game. It's meant to be set up like a video game.
Futuristic, yeah, it has to be. Absolutely has to be. How sick was Beast Mode's mood ring shirt, letting you know like what mood people are in? How sweet would that be? Just people want to know exactly how people are feeling.
That's awesome. I missed the whole like thing about him not doing personals and stuff because I was trying to figure out if that was Marshawn Lynch. I'm like, is that Marshawn Lynch? And the whole time I'm just trying to look. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's him. There's no what? And then so I missed the whole conversation they have. I don't know why music started playing nothing. Because I'm just
yeah, you really got to rewatch it because it's all. I do the same thing I always did. I basically watch it just for watch it for pleasure and fun, and then I go back and rewatch it and write the outline and see what questions I want to answer and stuff like that. So yeah, I know it helps a little bit, and that way I'm pausing it all the time and seeing all that stuff. But that's pretty sick. And speaking of that contraption, that fellow thief said he picked up that little contraption at Endo. Are we going to see more cool gadgets from that place, or is that just a one-off?
Wait, what gadget are we talking about?
That gadget that turned on the music. Basically, he went to a place called Endo and got that, and it turned on, and it just made music for everybody, so it was all loud, and it ghosted him, so they couldn't see him through the cameras. Because that's why the boy was like, "We need to get out of here. I don't want to be paired up together." Seen paired up together. He's like, "Don't worry about it. I've been ghosted since I walked in here." So, my man, Easy just hit the chat. What's good, my man? Good to see you out there. Good to see you. Hope all is well with you and yours.
I think that if people could turn off their system in their brain, that thing would not work, right? They were able to take out the ATM machine or whatever. Dude, as soon as music started playing all loud in my ear, I'd turn my thing off. And then I would be like, what the hell was that explosion?
Right. And I think all the people were doing that, was that turning them off. But for the main pictures and Big Brother watching, it kept it loud and kept it distorted, along with keeping them ghosted.
Yeah, but that thing's monitoring people. There has to be a video system in play, within the people or in a society that's so advanced. You would have pictures of this person, and the thing would immediately be able to see them. There's no way you could turn it off. I'm going to be stuck on that.
Well, I mean, obviously, that's what that special machine was for. That's what that black market machine did, was turn it off. Obviously, we don't know the technology behind it or what's going on, but that was basically what he got it for, and it seemed to work. So, but I don't know. I hope we get some more cool little gadgets like that. And is Endo going to be like the Martell? Are they the big company that's making that shit? And is there somebody that's making that gadgets that's going to end up being a big deal at the end of this? One will be on. Oh, boy's going to be on Dolores' side, so maybe the head of Endo will be on Bernard's side. I think that'd be pretty sick. I like how Marshawn Lynch, after blowing the ATM, was just still standing there watching the pretty lady on the ATM screen, just high as That was awesome. We were like, come on. I was laughing my ass off. That literally made me laugh out loud. That was great. So let's get to the real of it. Who is in, come on, chat, help me out with this one. Who do we think is in Charlotte Hale's body?
I was waiting for the chat to answer. I realized that's not going to happen.
It's going to take a minute.
Yeah. I don't know yet. I want to say, I think they dropped the Teddy thing, but it's not going to be Teddy. That's not Teddy, right? That's not his response, I don't think. But I think they want you to think that. So, well, I know they want you to think that. But, yeah, I don't know. Who's our other options?
We got a few. AK thinks it's Teddy Reborn. JD's sitting there thinking about it. AK is pretty positive about it. Dolores hooked him up with some Hulk smash when needed. I think Dolores' dad is in Hale. Oh, wow, that'd be pretty sick. Dolores' dad is in Hale. I like that, Ricky Hunt. That's a good answer.
Oh, Abernathy.
Yeah.
Damn. Oh, crazy.
Well, you want to know who I think it is? Uh-oh, we got Ricky Hunt breaking Clementine. Makes more sense. But Shade and Ricky have good guesses as well. He thinks Teddy. Did you see how Dolores was holding Charlotte's body in the preview? Something a little different there. That would give you the Teddy instinct. Probably Teddy, Angela, or Out of Nowhere Ford. Boom, that would be pretty biblical. No Teddy would be totally selfish for Dolores to bring him back. Oh, I think Teddy's coming back, but I don't think that's who's in Hale's body. Man in Black, that's a good one, but I think Man in Black's going to come back in Man in Black's body. I don't think that's it either. Shade of Evening thinks Clementine. That is an excellent guess, but I don't think so. Only person she's cared that much for is Teddy that we've seen. That's true, but I don't think it's about caring. I think it's about getting what she needs. He is back. Shit, or will it be? Clementine was close to Maeve, not Dolores. And we have, think about it, we have Hale sitting in as the board of directors running a company. Clementine was running a whorehouse. I don't think I'd put her in the CEO's chair as head board member of a multi-billionaire company like that. Now Ricky Hunt's saying Logan. Wow, that is actually an excellent guess. I actually like that. Clementine was close to Maeve, not Dolores. I think Angela is in Martin, Liam's bodyguard. There you go. I love that. I love that. I almost think that the bodyguard, I mean, who was Dolores's bodyguard? Doesn't that kind of make more sense for Teddy to be in a spot to be her bodyguard? But then again, you need somebody that's going to be quick and able to think on the fly because they're going to have to fool Liam into doing what they want, the son, Dolores' boyfriend. So anyway, I think in Hale, before we get there, I think in Hale's body, just my point, I think it's Emily. I think it's the Man in Black's daughter. I think she was a bot, and I think that it's her in Hale's body right now running the board of directors. And I think it was Emily who was Dolores' contact, because Emily said she had a contact in the park, and I think that contact was Dolores. That's what I think.
Yeah, that's not bad. I want to think
I've
that
never heard anybody say that. Well, I haven't heard anybody say anything, but I don't think many people are going to go there with that. I think I'm going to be a one-off on that.
Yeah, when I was talking about that branch, you're going the limb you're going out on. That's pretty high of the tree, and it's about this thin, and you're the very tip. But hey, that's
Shade of the Evening said good one.
Huh?
I said Shade of the Evening said good one.
Yeah.
Ricky Hunt says he's like Robert, but that makes no sense. Peter Griffin's like, okay. Yeah, I do. I think it's going to be Emily who's in there. I think she's going to be the one running the board. I think her and Dolores have been planning this for a long time, and I think that's going to be the big mind blow of that one. You got anybody else you want to guess? Anybody else you think it might be, if not her? Or what do you think, Andy?
I didn't even think about that much, honestly. I just watched it for entertainment.
Every time you watch it now, you're gonna be like, God, he's gonna ask about that, that.
Yeah, nah, I got to get back into it. I want to tell everybody. I was supposed to say at this beginning, I wanted to rate this on. I was very apathetic. I didn't care about the season. It was coming up. I only watched it already because of the stream, right? So that's how little I cared about the season. And judging, like, if 5 is the exact same amount of apathy towards the season, I'm at a 6 now. So I'm a little more interested, but not much. Not enough to, like, I mean, I'm interested, honestly, but it's too new of a situation, right? For me to, I needed to take in this new world, and I'm a simpleton. I can only take in so much, right? So I forgot things. When you asked me that question, I'm like, who was with Dolores beforehand? That was my question in my head. Right.
Who was even on her team? I love that Angela and old boy in the bodyguard. That would be pretty sick. I love that because she was bad, so that'd be pretty sweet. Yeah, that's the big thing we got to figure out, right? I mean, that's one of the big mysteries is we got to figure out what balls are in what bodies, see who is who. Because that's the only way Bernard got out of the park was she had to kill Bernard. You know, it was Dolores in Hale's body that killed Bernard to sneak his ball out of the park because she said there's no way we're getting out of this park as ourselves. So she had to be in Hale. She killed Bernard and then took his ball and then remade him out in the real world and said, we're even. Here we go. And he's like, I'll have to stop you. And she's like, I know. And now it's game on, which is just awesome.
No, I think it's not to get even. Dolores understands that she needs Bernard. Like, you need good and evil people. You need a counterpart, right? Someone that sees the world in a different way than you. Maybe they want the same thing, but they see it in a different way. That's her deal with Bernard. He wants that, but in a different way. So it's not like she did it, we're even.
Hey, we definitely got to talk more about that. But Ricky Hunt was asking, where's Arnold's conscience? Arnold, I would say Arnold's conscious is a memory of his conscious, which is in Bernard, and Bernard's conscious is scrambled, which he learned he had to do back in the park in order for Delos not to be able to read his mind and undo all the things he did. And so now when he got remade, I guess he already knew how to do that. And now we see Bernard's got his mind scrambled again and has found a way to basically daily figure out if he's being controlled by Dolores or not. I mean, how sweet is that? Like, just in depth as shit.
Dude, we're getting to like superpower. Like, this is situation. Like, what if superheroes were not necessarily superheroes? Like, they were different species, but they wanted to become the dominant species. That's essentially what's happening. Obscure reference probably for some, but basically Bernard has the power of a character from Hunter x Hunter. Like Shellnark. He can put like this thing in his head and he can put himself on autopilot. That's what Bernard can do. Like, and then just becomes a beast. Like, he couldn't, his conscience wouldn't let him do things, but he can tell himself to do it. And then he just does it. And then he's a badass. And then he
controlled split personalities.
But he can't control himself. How about once he's in that mode, like, he can give himself general directions. But when he asked, like, would you lie to me? That, like, clearly the thing would, because he told it, hey, don't hurt them too bad, and he killed them two dudes. Like, he killed them. He said, don't do it too bad, and then he goes and kills them. So this thing is like a completely different being that he can kind of control, and he's going into autopilot.
You can suggest to, right?
Yo, this thing's amazing.
That was awesome. That was awesome. The board tells Charlotte she's only temporarily in charge. She needs his okay. Well, who is his? And that has a robot proxy sitting in for him now. Do we think that's Jerry or the MIB? Or, I mean, she blames Bernard for murdering their founder, which I'm guessing was Jerry. So the MIB is the missing board member? Who's that missing board member that Charlotte Hale is sitting in for right now?
I think that's William, the Man in Black, right? He's not there, right? And he's the majority dude, right? Like the majority holder. So that's why they're like, we need his approval. Maybe not, but I think that's who they're talking about. And I believe that the Man in Black definitely would not have an implant in his head, right? So maybe that's why, like, the dude is so suspicious of, like, hey, we're just gonna have robots voting for us, like. Yeah, right. The Man in Black would not accept that. He's not going to have no stupid robot voting for him. I don't know, like an AI. Like, he wouldn't do that. So, well, maybe I'm wrong, right? Because that was the computer, right? The main computer's AI was making the decision for him. Is that what was happening?
Yeah, he had a robot proxy.
And okay, so a robot proxy. So he could tell it what to do, right? And
that robot's supposed to do exactly what he would do, kind of in his absence.
Okay, because as I was saying, I was like, wait, if it's that supercomputer, whatever its name is, I'm sure you know.
Rehoboam.
Okay, Rehoboam. That's probably some sort of anagram. Right. But that thing could vote for people, right? If it knew you well enough and you were in a board meeting and everybody had those implants, you didn't even have to be there because that robot would know exactly what you're going to do, right?
Right.
Like, damn, this thing's crazy. Okay, that's what I thought in the middle of while I was talking. I was like, holy shit, is this thing voting for people? Because that's a lot of power now. Like, no wonder Dolores would want that thing.
Right, and absolutely. And, of course, she's already broke into it and got it agreeing with everything that Hale's asking it to, so... Because remember, Hale said, like, okay, is that a thing? And the robot's like, we are in agreement. Like, so, yeah, obviously Dolores and Hale are already running that. So, yeah, I mean, it could be the Man in Black, or it could be that Sirach guy who basically we're going to, I think, meet in the next episode, the one who Maeve's going to end up meeting, the head of whoever is in charge of this big thing. So, I mean, maybe that's the head board member. Or maybe it's the Man in Black. I don't know. I think it's going to be one of those two for sure, though. Definitely. But,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Because they did bring up, like, hey, we're going to trust a robot after everything that happened, right? So, do they even know if the Man in Black's still alive? That's a good question.
That's true. I think they, as far as they think, or they do, because remember when Hale was leaving the island, they're like a high priority. They had to go get a high priority guest. So I mean, you would think that high priority, they're talking about the Man in Black. So they would think, I would think he's a robot then, but they would think he's still alive. So I mean, that's still more information that's going to have to be unfolded.
True.
What'd you think about old Farmer Brown Bernard, or should I say Armand Delgado? That was so pause on that and see that name. But his coworkers already suspect him of being a man on the run. But I mean, that's kind of a weird place for him to end up. Kind of like basically where he was working in Westworld, basically like a meat farm, which is basically what it was. I thought that was kind of weird.
I had a problem with that scene. Like, what kind of sketchy props did they have? It was like, didn't even look real. They pulled that chunk of meat down. Maybe it's not real. Maybe it's meant to look that way, and it's like the future. I don't know. They had real cattle there, though. So I was like, all right, you hurt me with that one, Westworld. But with Arnold, he cared so much about that cow, and then he's working in a meat factory. Like, this has got to be tough on him, like, emotionally, like mentally, emotionally, where these things are just like they were. He didn't realize he's got to draw that connection that, like, hey, these are cattle.
Obviously, he's not eating it. I mean, that's just another living creature to him that's actually living that they're just slaying.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely freaking him out. We got a shade of the evening in here saying Rehoboam was the name of King Solomon's son, and he was injured on the beach. So yeah, provocative tidbit of information I had no idea about.
Now I'm gonna look that up, and we're gonna find similarities.
But it's not an anagram. They might bring it back for a couple of twists in the episode. So we see the daily regimen. To make sure Dolores hasn't taken him over. That was kind of cool. We already talked about that. Yeah, basically, we already saw how he was able to split his mind into two, and that's pretty sweet how he was able to do that. I like the way they interrupted the future with the self-driving car, or the way they interpreted the future with the self-driving cars and the dresses that change on the fly. Were you okay with the way they interpreted the future, or were you like, all right, I don't think this is how it'd be?
I actually like that. Like, usually when they do stuff in the future, it's like way too futuristic. Like, I mean, there's a little bit of stuff like their planes, the airplane drone things. Those were all right, but I thought like they're probably gonna need more lift. But it's not too exaggerated. It's not like there's just flying cars all going everywhere and everybody's flying their cars in the air. It seems like a more realistic future. Whereas you would have a future that makes things easier for people, right? Like, not just fun things, because generally science fiction has that problem where the future is a bunch of fun things that you're like, oh, that's amazing. But it would be about convenience, right? You can have a meeting in your car. Everything can happen in a self-driving car, and there's no reason for people and to drive. The margin of error is gone, so it's safer, and that's realistic stuff that would happen. And then the richest people could fly their drones wherever they want in the city, and that's realistic too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it starts out as a toy, and then you make it into something practical for the rich. Makes perfect sense. How sick was that layout of the company Insight? Like, it almost looked like a twisted version of the game, Arnold Son's game, or the maze or whatever. Like when they did that upshot I thought that looked tight.
I didn't even see it. I didn't notice that.
Oh, dude, the layout. Yeah, I thought they were trying to tell us something like just the layout of that company, and it really did. So, I mean, is Arnold going to end up being in charge of this too? I just thought that was kind of a trip. I thought it was cool. Wow, you didn't? Yeah, I thought that was awesome, dude. The layout when they did that.
I'm telling you, I watched it for entertainment purposes and DJ shooting down theories only. And now I realized I did not collect enough information to shoot down all your crazy theories.
Oh, dude, gotta dig deeper. Gotta dig deeper. So then we meet Martell, and I swear she was the same chick, that Asian chick that she went to see was the same one from the Money app, Make Money Motherfucker. she all talked all hard and like threatens death. So Liam stormed out. Do you think she's going to be like a big character? Is she going to be a problem in later episodes, or is she just a one-off?
I don't know. Like I know she's going to be involved. She's going to be more involved.
It seemed like he was digging on her a little bit. Like, you think you guys are equal, but you just work for him too. So it seems like that's going to be like, is he going to be able to turn her on his side, or I don't know. It seems like she's going to have a little twist in this a little bit later. But that's what I got out of that.
Well, I think like she is probably the person from that thing because, I mean, she's a criminal. She's not like him. Like, she's a criminal. They're talking about like they could kill him and stuff. So I think it's like the melding of criminal. Maybe there's some involvement with like the computer or something. Like she has something where she can get people that would match up, like, because what's his name, Jesse, they kept saying like that he has good profile or whatever, like he matches lots of things, but he can't find the right work. Yeah, well, what's he gonna do for that?
It seems like a generic blow off line. Your things are very strong. We'll see you soon. Like, yeah, oh, you did great. Beat it.
But if you had the ability, if you had the option, and you were someone that was needed things to get done, to make money, because obviously, like, that company uses that app too, so they're close to it. Or what's it? Insight uses it, so they're close in the app, so they would have that means. You would want to manipulate that to get the right people to do criminal shit. Right? You say, oh, this person qualifies perfectly for this job, and the computer's going to put them there. But the computer doesn't take into criminality, or maybe it does, and it forces them not to be hired. So this is the type of person that would use this app and do the things that you want to get done. Right? Because it is broad.
Yeah, that's pretty
broad.
Sick. That's pretty sick. Speaking of bigger pictures, Shade of the Evening is going deep into the biblical. That's pretty sweet. Talking about King Solomon's son, and like those gold tabs are like communion wafers, and you're going deep over there. I like that. So then we go basically. We get back to Barnyard Bernard, and he gets confronted by the two dickheads. And I mean, how sick would that be if you could just have a button that basically just turned you superhuman all of a sudden? Like, did you see how fast he actually got up when he went to beat their ass? Like, if you just had a button that turns you into half a Superman real quick, I mean, that'd be pretty dope.
Yeah, but it has a pretty good drawback. That's why I was making it akin to a superpower, is because it has a drawback. He can't control himself in that. It's just Hulk mode. And
yeah, exactly. Smash.
So, I mean, it would be cool for sure. But it's like his base programming he's accessing, right? Like, it's for anybody into computers, he's actually seeing his BIOS, and he's like, hey, I'm skipping the Windows operating system. I need to go into BIOS and see like how the program is running, like how my computer is working. And maybe that's why it's not perfect. It's not like a true operating system. He's like, hey, don't hurt him too bad. And this thing's like, screw you, buddy. These like, boys were mean to me. I'm going to kill them. Because he would skip all his programming, like his emotional stuff, like all the stuff, his inhibitions that are programmed into him, right? It skips all that. So he can just do base programming, like, these guys are being mean to me, so that is bad. I kill mean people.
Yeah, I think he's a little more elevated than that. I think the other Bernard just computed everything and realized if he doesn't kill these guys, that they're going to turn him in as the guy that's basically on the run. If he just beats their ass, he's definitely just going to go turn them in, and then he's screwed anyway. So he basically has to kill him to shut him up. And nice Bernard, really can't make that decision because he's not a killer. So basically he had to snap into that thing, and that thing's like, yeah, these guys got to go. That's what I got out of that. Back over to Caleb getting denied for the upgrade. We already see, and they're kind of setting it up, that he has an absolute disdain for communicating with bots. Like when he's talking to that thing, he's like, no offense, but are you human? Like, we see that Caleb is not the biggest fan of machines. So this is going to become a huge problem later.
This is my first, not my first. This is a big discrepancy where he says something, like weird. He says, "Is there any way for me to like change my shape so that I can fit in a different hole?" And the thing doesn't respond in a way. It has like today's technology, right? Like that's annoying. Like everything's supposed to be super amazing, and maybe it's like a product of, or it's like a similar situation to the robots not looking like humans. They don't want people to be fooled into thinking that they're talking to an AI or a bot. But I just think it's weird that this super AI society where you have a amusement park that people cannot distinguish between real people, it does not have an appropriate answer to, can you change the kind of shape I am so I can fit in a different hole? You know, so that in this that really threw me off. I'm like, how? That's something I would say to a robot caller now. Like this thing is supposed to be crazy AI. And then to your second point, like, or your first point, because that was just me ranting, honestly.
Before you go on the rant, be easy, shade of the evening. Thanks so much for stopping in, and hope to see you next time. We'll be back to our regular time next week. We're going to be back up and running on Tuesdays. So thanks a lot for showing up tonight.
And I'll be more informed this time because I was. It's been too long since we've done this. I'll put more effort in. Apologize.
And Jay Cruz, you are right. Slang changes constantly, so it would be hard to keep up with.
No, this is an AI that can. We learn later it can predict people's actions. So, if it's a part of this program, which it is, because this is the thing that gives people jobs, it would be able to adapt to that. So
it doesn't predict; it guesses. It's imperfect.
It's imperfect, but it could keep up with slang.
I don't know. Them kids come up with new words all the time.
How about where the guy said, if I was going to tell you if I was ever going to tell you, then I would be shot. And he's about to tell her, and the dude comes in. So it seems pretty good to me. Like, it seems good enough that it.
Yeah, but we already saw, and then we're going to talk about that later too. When Caleb's sitting there talking to it, it's going back and forth. And then it says, like, well, you know, to win the game, you got to be in it. And he just stops cold. He's like, no, not at all. That's not at all what you thought. And that's not at all what you would say. Fuck you. I'm canceling. And ends up canceling his old subscription and turns that shit off.
Yeah, so, but that's a person that it didn't have all the time in the system, right? That happened before. Well, so this is just a fake thing of that person. Whereas
that's supposed to be a pretty big system that they have going on. And I mean, yeah, and we don't know, because the one doctor even said, yeah, maybe our program is bullshit, but for you to graduate, you have to kind of go through it. So even the doctor knows this thing's imperfect and not really doing exactly what it should do.
Yeah, but the guys in the know that it can predict his actions. Right. So the whole thing, it doesn't have to be perfect, but he shouldn't be able to recognize it because it can't come up with an answer about him fitting in a different hole.
I give you that. I give you that.
That's, to me, that it was off-putting. But I agree, he hates robots, and him pairing up with Dolores, who hates humans, is perfect. And they're gonna kind of, you know, their gravities are gonna have effect on each other, I think. But he probably hates people too. He hates technology.
Well, speaking of hating people, we get back to Dolores and Daddy's boy Liam, and she realized he's not the one that she's after. He's in no way in charge. He's just a figurehead. So when Dolores was being taken, did you have any doubt that she was instantly on the fly, adjusting, and that it was basically her letting them take her, or did you think that they snuck up on her and really did take her?
Oh no, I knew she was faking. That's what kind of got me really going to, like, does she know exactly what's happening? Because she sets herself up in the perfect situation. You know, like, that's the perfect situation for her. She already had the other dude ready to go, like that other host, which I think that one is Teddy. But yeah, I think that's, I don't know. I'm torn because whenever we talk about when we eventually talk about the hobo thing and where they talk about the discrepancies, I'll wait. But remind me, we have to talk about that at some point. So throw that in there when they talk about the discrepancies.
You can bust out right now if you want. I mean,
Okay, I think if we're talking about timelines, right, which we generally are, although I'm hoping this season's not intentionally convoluted like last season, it just comes off as natural.
They said
but,
it's not. Yeah.
I think it's Maeve. I think Maeve is in that system. Maybe like the whatever land they go to is kind of a part of that. Like, I think Maeve's the one that's she's messing with the code. But maybe it's Dolores, right? Because they talk about that other guy having the ability to do it. But I think it's Maeve. I think they're just trying to throw you off.
Yeah. It could be. Well, I don't think it's Maeve yet, but I think it's going to be. Maybe they're going to be taking care of that thing.
Yeah, but I think some of this is happening in a simulation. Oh yeah, so I never made it that far yet. I thought I think part of this is happening in Hobo, and it's a simulation.
Dude, we were going to get there because I was one of the things I was going to say is, do you think that there's any way that Caleb is a rich billionaire basically in a simulation like in Westworld? Basically, he's not doing this because he's just some, broke guy that can't get a job. He's actually playing a game in a simulation, and that's what we're seeing.
It could be, but I don't think it is because that's fucked up. Because this episode ends the same way as the first episode of the first season of like Dolores falling in. Yeah. And if it's the exact same thing, then that's like the remakes of Star Wars. Like, you're just copying the original and bringing it over. That's not, you don't know. Like, it can't be that.
Kind of awesome, though.
I would be so mad. I'd be like, we already seen this. Get out of here. You're just going to break her heart again? Get out of here. But I think they told you it's a simulation in a simulation, right? They told you from the beginning, part of this is going to be a simulation. And maybe
and AK's with us. She likes that too.
Maybe Westworld was a simulation all in all, right? To see, because this is my other discrepancy. Like, what is the purpose of Westworld collecting people's data when people have stuff in their brain that is collecting their real world data, right? So that means everything that happened in Westworld, mapping people's, all the information of mapping people's personalities and stuff, this big AI, Hobo, would be way better at it, and it gets real world stuff. So what's the purpose of Westworld? Like,
Westworld could be old. Westworld is old. Westworld's been going on, so Westworld was the start of it, and Westworld was where they created this to do that. That's why when Ford saw the Man in Black at that real party, he's like, when's the last time you went back to see on your little project? Do you know what your project's doing? It's growing faster and more than you guys ever thought. Like, you haven't been back there. That thing's learning. And I think that's what it was Rehoboam learning. And then basically they took that and took it in the real world and applied it. I mean, I think that's what Ford was talking about.
So that's fair, right? Because they do say that it was like Westworld's technology, but it continues, right? Why I don't understand. Now you have these things that could just be in people's heads. That's why I think that might be a simulation. This is my out on a limb thing, that Westworld in itself was a simulation as to see, because there's like this theory that something can't create something more complex than itself. Like your brain cannot make something more complex than your brain because there's a limitation on atoms and stuff and the complexity. So that's why Westworld wouldn't be like Hobo. Hobo can't create like its own self. It has to create something lesser if it's going to do a simulation. It can only
how to learn, and it started teaching itself faster than we can teach ourselves.
But there's a matter limitation, right? So if we're bringing it, we got to have some scientific limitations to it, and matter is the limitation. So it can never create anything as complex as itself because it doesn't have enough matter to create those processes. So that is the limitations. And if you were going to do something like that, Westworld would seem like a good simulation to have. I don't know. So but they did mention a simulation in a simulation are in the episode, so that's what got me thinking like that.
Really? Well, and another thing, like Caleb said, he's been shot in the head before. Like, what was that all about? Did he get fixed with some Westworld bot technology, or did he get shot in the head in the game because he is in a game? And like, what's that all about?
Well, maybe there's two options the way I see it. He's part robot now, like he has robot stuff, because someone that hates technology like that doesn't seem like they would want an implant that's can have such an effect on them. Or two, he is a successful host, so like a human transferred into a host.
Interesting.
So he would be like the first
technology in his head. He's an entire host.
Yes, like he's an actual host and doesn't realize it, like Bernard style.
And that's why they're showing so much that he hates other hosts to make us think he's human, and then that's going to be the big mindfuck at the end that he's actually a host.
That'd be and he's the first.
Where are you going with that? That's my kind of thinking.
Well, I think he would be the first successful one because governments test stuff on their military. We know he's like a military dude, like or mercenary. I don't know exactly what he was, but for some reason, there's less rules in the world he's in now than the one he was in before because he said we had to deal with the sheriffs or whatever over there. But you would think that they would be testing people, right? And like, I don't know. And you got to think back to season 1 when you're the Cornerstone, like that guy, he's constantly wanting to talk to that guy. That kind of seems like a Cornerstone thing. So maybe the world needs a trauma like that, or like a human needs a trauma like that, just like the hosts need traumas to become alive. Like humans need like a trauma to grab onto.
Yeah, they're showing that we're basically just living the same exact loops that host world. We're just basically out in the real world. I mean, we're just on loops exactly like hosts are, doing the same thing in our same little pockets of time and our same little regimens that we do every single day.
Yeah, you just need that. I don't know. You need that cornerstone to save yourself from breaking down, essentially. I don't know, but I think he could be the first transfer, and that's why, right? You would test on someone like that if before someone like the Man in Black or Delos would put himself in that system.
Right, exactly. You'd have to have live guinea pigs, yeah.
Yeah, and so if there was a success, maybe they think they can reproduce it. Delos is dying, so they have to do it to him right then, and they don't know what makes it work and what makes it not work, right? They're just like, this one was successful. And so
that is funny because I didn't really think about it until right now, but they always show Caleb waking up in that bed the same exact way Maeve woke up in her bed and all the other stuff. The same way Dolores woke up in her bed. Like, so, I mean, I didn't even think about it till right now, but that's basically the same thing. I think they're telling us that he's a host. He's waking up exactly like the other ones did. So, I mean, isn't that them kind of subconsciously like, yeah, he's a host? But they're trying to trick you because they're making it look like he hates all robots. That's crazy.
I wouldn't go as far to say he's a host, though. Like, I don't think that those cyborg. Wait, what was our term?
Next level host.
We came up with a term 2 years ago when last time the show was on, so I'm never going to remember it. But we came up with a term for humans in host bodies, and so, but I don't remember it.
Right. Go back. That's awesome. Yeah, we'll have to figure that out. But yeah, I didn't even think about that till right now. He's a freaking host, or he's something. Yeah, he's something next level. So there may be a timeline twist that we haven't put on it yet. Alicia Kingston says he is on a loop. We're all on loops, but yeah, definitely. Yep. Also the same as Dolores. So yeah, I think he is definitely like that. We may still be in Westworld. This could just be another world in Westworld, and he's doing the espionage world. That's so awesome.
I'm going simulation theory all the way. This is
it's kind of looking like that. It's kind of
this is going to be my theory throughout the season. Now I'm going to try to prove how half of what is happening is in the simulation. That's mine.
I mean, he's waking up just like Dolores and Maeve woke up. I mean, Dolores fell into his arms just like she fell into William's arms. I mean, there's a lot of similarities playing out exactly the same way. So That'd be kind of awesome. But we're kind of talking about it. Dolores's it finally unveils that this was Dolores's plan all along. So who did you think that was in Martin's body double? The bodyguard?
The bodyguard, I think that is Teddy. He's the shooter.
You think that Teddy? You think Teddy's the bodyguard? Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. I kind of think I'm going to go with that too. I already said that. I think that. What's up, AK in the chat? Who do you think's in Martin the bodyguards? Who do you think that is? That might be really awesome if that was Angela, though. I really love that. But yeah, I think that's going to be Teddy. But we'll see. But yeah, that would be awesome if they brought Angela back and that's who that was. That'd be amazing.
What if? Okay, hold on. I got to go back to the simulation because something you said at the end made me think. Like, what if Westworld's a simulation, but they're trying to like create? So they got the Man in Black to behave a certain way. What if they're trying to recreate that in the real world? They set up that situation with Dolores the same exact way so that Jesse has to saves her in the same way. Now he's going to help her along her mission and see if they can replicate like that scenario. Or what if it's like, this sounds way out here too. Okay, this is not what I think, but it could happen.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer is like they run this program on many people, and that's how this AI gets so much information. Like I think Dolores is the main character, so that's why I don't think this is going to happen. But what if they have these standard loops that they test people in? And this helps like the AI know how their brain works and what they're going to do in certain situations. So they would have control groups. No, not control groups. Like a controlled situation that they can judge someone's actions on.
Right. No, I don't think. We got Jake Cruz asking who was Angela again. She was the beautiful blonde that was in the end that ended up being like a real badass and one of Dolores's like bodyguard henchmen almost. The blonde that had the snake tattoo. Her name, I don't think her name was Angela. Her name was what was her name? I'm so bad with names. But yeah, I think Angela was the real beautiful blonde that ended up being like a badass. It was what, remember she went in there with that one guy and like kicked his butt?
I think Angela was the original welcoming William to Westworld.
Yeah, that chick. Exactly. The beautiful blonde.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm pretty sure Angela was. And it was like a Clementine name for that chick with the snake tattoo. I can't remember it, but.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be her, right? Because she was with Maeve, correct?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, she was with Hector and Maeve rolling. She was on her squad. And Angela was with Dolores. So yeah, I like Angela because basically she did turn into the bodyguard. So I like Angela being him. That'd be a great callback and bringing her back. But yeah, that's going to be sweet to find all that out. And that's pretty sweet, like I said, how Dolores can basically talk to every machine and how make them do her bidding. And like when she had that motorcycle come in just in time to take that dude out. So is she basically does she have all the same powers Maeve has now? Or is Maeve still going to be stronger? Or is she still learning? Or like, how's that going to work out? Does she have the same powers that Maeve has now?
No, I think that's a part of the world. Like that's what part of modern thing. People would just get out of their self-driving whatever motorcycle in this case, and then it would go park itself, right?
Right. Thanks, Ricky. That's what I'm talking about. Armistice was the name of that blonde with the snake tattoo. Man.
Yeah.
Nice. No, love the chat. The chat always knows.
So, there's a few things that lead to like Dolores having way too much information, right? She can predict what's going to happen, and that motorcycle's part of it near the end. But I think that's just a part of society. Like that motorcycle does that for everybody that with an implant, whoever owns it. Because she had to hack it, right?
Right, but she can hack everything, which means she can talk to every machine and make every machine out there do exactly what she wants, which is basically what Maeve could do in the park.
Yeah, and I think, but I don't know about hosts, right? You think she can do it to hosts? She has to convince them. She's not like Maeve, Maeve's a great character, and I thought she's my favorite as like the freedom dude, but Maeve has a dilemma, just like everybody else does. And Dolores, Maeve has the power to make anybody do what they want, but she's about freedom. She's like, I could, but I'm not going to. And if Dolores also had that power, then it would diminish Maeve's character.
I like that. How fitting was it for Dolores to fall into Caleb's arms? We already kind of talked about that the same way in season 1. If Caleb likes to talk to humans much more than AIs, and we already know that like Caleb really doesn't like robots, that's going to kind of become a problem when he finds out that Dolores is an AI, right?
Maybe, but just like the Man in Black, like when he came to the realization that, oh shit, this was all programmed and it was just messing with me the whole time. Wouldn't it have the opposite effect on what's his name? Jesse?
Caleb.
Caleb. Oh, okay.
But is it going to be like what brings Caleb around? Like maybe all AIs aren't bad and like she's going to turn him to like bots? Or is it just going to be like, oh, you're another bot. Now he's just going to be hurt and broken.
But he doesn't like a bot pretending like it's someone, right? Like that it's people. It's like Dolores is a robot who's like, I'm a robot and I'm better than you. I think he'll respect that more than like robots pretending to be humans. Sure, she looks like a human, but in his world, he doesn't like robots who do not look like humans, but try to behave as if they are them. You know, like she's not. She's like, I'm a freaking robot.
So do you think it was an accident that Dolores ran into Caleb, or is it all part of Dolores's plan?
I
mean, we know
it might be a part of the simulation.
Yeah, we know that Rehoboam predicts that people's past and outcomes for situations, and if Dolores is hacked into it, she would know that he's the type of guy that would help her in the end. So is this part of her plan, or was that just a chance meeting?
It might be. Like, they have so much mapped out. If it's a simulation and that's how Dolores can control herself in that simulation, that's why she can manipulate things. That would be interesting. That's why she knows so much. Otherwise, if she can already do it, there's no reason for her to be looking to do that. You know what I mean? Like, she might be simulating her situation in the simulation, or like in the program that she's trying to get to, right? So she gets put into that simulation, but she wants to get out and then control said simulation, like get that power in real life.
So she's just letting herself fall in and be part of the story until she can take over and control it?
Yes, but she needs to simulate it in order to see if she can get there, right? If she can, if the simulation is simulating what she's gonna do, or the AI is simulating what she's gonna do, she can read that too. Like she can see if she does these actions, this is what the computer's gonna do. So it may be working in that way, and that's why she can know exactly where people are going to be, because I don't understand why she would be going for the AI if she's already able to control the AI or get that information from it. So unless she wants the controlling power of people's things. So that's an option too.
Which she does. Ricky Hunt says, I thought Dolores destroyed Robot Heaven. She's only sent Teddy there later. No, she was going to destroy it, but then when she came back in Hale's body, she changed her mind and had a change of heart, and she just redirected where they were sending it. So now she just said now there's no bridge back. So she didn't destroy it. She just sent it to where there's no way to ever recover them. There's no bridge back for it. That's what was said on that. Jake Cruz says Maeve's daughter is in Robot Heaven now. I wonder what her motivation is going to be this season. Her motivation is going to be Bernard telling her that, we got to go stop and show that robots aren't bad. We got to stop Dolores before she kills everybody, I think is going to be motivation. Basically, in the fact that she's got power and wants to show that she's the most powerful in the end. That's what it's going to be. Rich Kingston, he won't find out till the end, though. Dolores is very good covering her tracks. I feel like she knew he would be there to catch her, basically catch her when she was wounded. So, yeah, that's just saying that, like you said, it's just part of sticking herself in the simulation. So, basically, yeah.
So, I think Maeve's motivation is free will. Right? That's her whole thing. She wants free will. But once she gets out, Bernard takes her into the real world, and she realizes that there's a simulation that takes people's free will away. She's going to try to fight against that. I think that her Dolores might team up. That's why Maeve's my favorite character, because she has that true dilemma. Like, she has the power, but it's against her morals to use it, right? And she's just about freedom. People should be able to do what they want. Good, bad, like you take the bad with the good, right? She just wants the freedom, and she's going to fight for humanity in a way like you guys are just like we were in the park, and you don't realize it.
Right. Nice. I like that. So last we see Bernard hitch a boat back to Westworld. Does this mean Westworld really was just out on some random island somewhere out in the sea? I mean, everybody was all wondering. It's underground. It's out in space. I mean, nobody really knew. Is this just kind of proven once and for all that it was basically just some island out in the sea somewhere?
Yeah, I think we now know it's just some island. I thought they confirmed that last season, but maybe not. But yeah, it seems weird that a guy with a boat out there wouldn't know, like, hey, you can't go near this island. Like,
yeah, right.
But whatever, he shouldn't ask where he's going, but I'll let that slide. And yes, it's an island.
Yeah. So then we got an extra scene. Basically, the Maeve is put back together in a Nazi-occupied Germany. Is that going to make more of a problem for Bernard to get her out, or is that just going to be no big deal? She's just basically in a loop, and like you said, once he finds out it's time to go fight for free will, she's just going to own it and be out of there.
So I'm wondering if like this host heaven thing is a bunch of simulation, like little simulations that were run like test parks, and that's why she's in World War II. It will make it harder to get her, but I'm a little confused by it. Seemed like she was surprised when she went out, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. She just woke back up into another basically storyline.
But if I'm being honest, if there's a bunch of Westworld things, music park, World War II ones is the one that I'm going to. Like crazy battles and stuff. That's the one I'm going to. Screw Westworld. But yeah, I think it's a problem. I was just more confused. I didn't think about like Bernard getting to her. I was just thinking about when in the timeline. Is this immediately after she went to host heaven? Like she woke up and this is her situation?
Well, she has host heaven.
Or well, where's she at then?
She got killed, and that one tech at the end of the season came up, and she's like, "Hey, you idiots!" to the two dipshit tech guys, and she's like, "We need to basically figure out which one of these are salvageable and which ones are just junk." And both of them looked at each other, and even though Maeve was sitting there shot to shit and all ripped up, obviously they're going to save Maeve. So yeah, she never went to host heaven. She was just one of the shot up.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, now I remember.
They were going to fix her and bring her back.
Yeah.
And then
where is she now then?
Basically, well, now she's in Nazi-occupied Germany back in the park. They basically took her. I mean, she never left Westworld, so they just put her back together and reassimilated her into a story.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like the parks, and I guess they're still running, and they would just still run even. I mean, Disney World.
Why isn't it done right by now? Jake Cruz, I remember in season 2, Maeve was told she was programmed to do all the things she was, but then Ford said she programmed her to leave, and she didn't leave. Amazingly, she came back to go back for her daughter. That was her own free will choice. Ford programmed her to leave the park, and that's going to be something that's going to come into effect a little bit later as well. And as far as what you're saying, like this could either be another timeline, or we know that there's basically we only know there's like 5 worlds in Westworld, and only 2 of them that we know were destroyed. So the other 3 could still be functioning and not be closed down yet. And they're talking about Westworld like that one at the beginning. He wants his money out of it, but they shut down like trading on it because that means the park's still operating at some point.
Yeah,
or some faction. So it's still making money, still doing something. It's not completely shut down.
I had to check myself because it's not like Disney World closed down after that kid got eaten. So,
yeah, right. I mean, billionaires are going to make money regardless, and if they can keep 3 parks running that haven't been affected yet, they're going to do that.
Yeah, but it's dangerous putting Maeve.
Yeah, of course it is. But those guys will be there, and I mean, what were they going to do? Kill Maeve? They see that she's basically making her own choices now, so they just put her back together and let her go.
Yeah, do you think she's aware in that park?
Or... Oh, absolutely. And we see it. I mean, we can just go on. Like after it was over, they showed us the previews to next week. Did you see those?
I'm doing the BBM thing where I don't watch the previews for next week.
Well, man, I guess we can't talk about that though.
Oh, you can do. I don't care. I just didn't do it. I was like, oh, maybe I'll try not watching the previews.
Well, we see actually that it's not going to be a problem for Maeve to leave. She also seems to have her skills at controlling all the other hosts. So basically, she just freezes everything and walks through untouched. So she's amazing. And then we also, it looks like we're going to see Sirach, who the Sirach is. And it sounds like he's been waiting for these hosts a long time. So basically, that's going to be a sick thing. Like how big of this was planned. Like I was just saying, Ford told Maeve he had the loop for her to leave. Did he ever on the loop to leave to go meet this Sirach person? Was that supposed to happen a long time ago? And it's just now happened? Like, that's going to be something that gets answered. And then basically, who does Dolores want? Like, who does Dolores want Hale to pretend to be? Because we see her in the thing saying, I need you to be the person I want you to be. Oh, man, you need to watch it. These are crazy. These are questions I need answers to because, yeah, it gets pretty sick.
Hold on. I'll watch it at this moment.
We might have to fire up another one or something. Try to do another one on Saturday or something. Get these last one answered and predict predictions.
Hold on. How long is it?
Probably about 35, 45 seconds.
All right. Well, I will mute you and then
and then watch it up.
Yeah. Hold on, but let me get it.
What do you think's going to happen there with Dolores? Who does Dolores want Hale to pretend to be? Because to me, if Andy's not listening to me, are you listening to me right now, Andy?
Yeah, I haven't.
Muted it yet. I was about to drop a big one.
All right, hold on. Let me figure out how to mute you real quick.
I don't know if you can mute me.
I can turn off my audio.
That's not that big a deal. I can just.
Okay, I can't hear you now. So,
continue. You can't hear me.
What you were gonna say?
But I think Dolores basically is telling Hale to. I think it's going to get real cold. You think long live Queen Maeve? Watch it now. I think Dolores is going to ask Hale to basically pretend to be Bernard's wife, and she might even make another little Bernard son to just go for the deep stone cold feels and try to be that how. Basically, that's how Dolores is going to end up trying to beat Bernard in the long run, is basically make him catch feels about his son and have Maeve have Hale pretend to be his wife and basically like, look, Bernard, you could have what you always wanted, your family, you could have what you always dreamed of, basically, and make it a reality. So I think Dolores might take that action with it, which I think would be crazy deep feels. Yep, Jake, this is an outlet. Just come here, not have to think about anything crazy, and just have fun and kick back for a while. When Hale asks, why did you bring him back, Dolores says, we all have our role to play, which is what she said when she brought back Bernard. So who is Dolores talking about? Is it the man in black, Bernard's son, Ford? Who is she talking about bringing back? The obvious one's man in black, but man, it could be just about anybody now. It could be. And can't you even bring back Teddy? Is that even a thing? Can you bring Teddy back? Because Teddy went across the thing, supposedly. Actually, I don't know. Did Teddy go across the thing? Teddy killed himself, and she took the ball, but she never uploaded the ball into it, so I don't think Teddy ever did go into Robot Heaven. So I think she absolutely could bring Teddy back. What's up, Andy? You get it watched? Nope, he's still not doing it. How you doing?
All right.
Yep. So you watched it?
Yeah, that was good. I was right. They did want you to think that Teddy was in there.
Right.
That's why I didn't see the preview, so I didn't That's probably why I didn't register that question even at all. All right, that didn't pop in my head. But man, that was good. Maeve all the way.
Maeve has all the powers, right?
They said she's got a head start, and they're gonna take full advantage. Maeve's like, she better have. Like, she ain't got nothing on Maeve. But she that's great.
So what I was saying is we see Dolores telling Hale, I need you to pretend to be this person. Who's she telling her she needs to pretend to be?
Hale.
No, she's telling Hale that, Hale, I need you to be this person. Who's she telling Hale that she needs to be?
I don't know.
Because my thing was what I just said while you're listening to that. I think she's going for deep feels. I think she's basically telling Hale to pretend to be Bernard's wife. She's going to bring back Bernard's son and go for the deep feels and be like, look, you can have everything you ever wanted. Here's your son, your wife. You can go live happily ever after with your family. Just don't fight me. And this, you could have everything you really ever wanted. I think she might be going for deep feels like that. And she's telling Hale to pretend to be Bernard's wife is what I think is going to happen. But I don't know.
Maybe.
I got out of that.
That's a good one because they had the kid there and stuff, right?
Right? So, yeah, I thought that was kind of crazy. And we're gonna see Sirach, and so like I said, that's what I was thinking. I think Ford was part of his plan was to have these hosts go and meet Sirach on the outside and get this whole thing started a long time before it even started. And that's why Ford was doing all that to help Bernard basically to get this, thing going to make it happen. And then Bernard killed him off and then kind of went on his own plan and kind of deviated. But this is what I think this was Ford's plan the whole time. He wanted basically these hosts to get out, meet Sirach, and we'll be finding out what phase 2 is all about this season.
So if Ford is this forward thinking, what are the odds that this is a simulation that the hobo is controlling, right? There's no way Ford could predict so much. Right. And then the anomaly becomes Maeve because Maeve goes against what she's programmed to do in the simulation. So then they think it's someone else. That's the problem. Does that make sense? Like, if you're running a simulation of Westworld, then you would have this all-knowing person. That's like the simulation there, which is Ford. But if he can't program Maeve, or if Maeve doesn't listen, then that would look like a glitch. I'm gonna keep pushing that all season long that this is simulation.
It could be, man. And like I said, they're setting it up that way. I mean, there's too many similarities. We got Caleb waking up every day like that, talking. We got basically Dolores falling into his arms the same way she did with William. It's certainly setting up this way. And I'm excited to get about and figure out what's going to happen. We are definitely going to be here all year long, figuring it out, trying to get to the end of it before everybody else does, figuring out this thing. And, we are going to be back on Tuesdays, doing it on Tuesdays. We had St. Patty's Day this week and a bunch of other family stuff that was going on, so wasn't able to do it this week on Tuesday. But next week, we will be back starting on Tuesdays and bringing all the Westworld fun all year long. So, it's been great, Andy. So glad we got back on this. Anything else you want to say to cap this thing off? Any other last ideas you got on this one?
I'm sure there's something I wanted to talk about that I forgot. But as far as go, I don't know. Didn't Maeve look all different? I feel like there's something somewhere. She changed too much between two characters, right? It's like they're intentionally doing that for a reason. But it's too early to tell. That's why I'm sticking to my simulation theory. And I'm going to push that all season because I don't want to keep adapting like last season and then get too much shit right. So we're going to stick with simulation, and I'm going to be wrong by the end of the season, and we'll all be happy.
Yeah, well, there you have it. I don't think so. I think a simulation is definitely going to be part of it, if not all of it. And I guess only time will tell. Oh, my man. Once you, David Adams, shows up right when we're kicking off. Great to see you, boss. Like I was just saying, we're going to be back on Tuesdays. Try to be back right around between 5 and 6. But you know how it goes. We always start a little bit later. We will do what we can to get on as early as we can. So I hope everybody out there is staying safe and staying sane, and we will definitely be back at you soon. So everybody have an absolutely fantastic rest of the week and weekend, and we will see you soon. Take care, everybody.